What's up, QAA listeners?
The fun games have begun.
I found a way to connect to the internet. I'm sorry, boy. When I was probably like 11 or 12 years old, we used to steal Marlboro Red cigarettes from my buddy's dad, who was a Vietnam vet. And you know where we would go? You know where we would go to smoke them? We would go to the elementary school that we went to.
God.
We waited.
That is cursed because you're just like you're just watching your buddy's dad be like, Charlie's been stealing my smokes lately. You know, he's like spiraling down.
We did so many bad things at that boy's house that his dad kept his like carbine rifle. It was like a wooden rifle that was in like a bag that was like his Vietnam rifle or whatever. And we would go into the basement and like take it out and play, like full on just play with it. Like didn't know if it was loaded, didn't know anything. Just like definitely not good. And yeah, and we stole his ciggies and we would ride over on our skateboards to the elementary school. And the elementary school would get out, so the playground would be kind of vacant, and we would like find a shady spot to like sit on our skateboards and smoke cigarettes. I remember getting so buzzed and being like, oh, I am like definitely the coolest person at this elementary school.
I remember trying to get weed when I was like a teenager, and we didn't find weed. And so me and my friend took cloves and took off the filter and just like fucking smoked them like as hard as possible to try to get high. And we were so sick, dude. I was fucking, he was puking. I felt so bad. Really turned on us.
I think the only reason I stopped smoking cigarettes is because it affects estrogen absorption. I was like, that's enough.
Yeah,
All
you were
the
like,
other stuff? No. Cancer,
you were like, these
no.
ciggies are getting in the way of my future. Like,
Wait, so does that
Yeah.
work? Does that work for people who are not on like the treatment? Like, would it also block estrogen or whatever?
Oh, maybe. I think it relates to like literally it dissolving in your like digestive tract, but maybe it affects like cis women too. Like it lowers their estrogen.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that.
I mean, it's lowering everything. It's made my dick like half the size, I think.
yeah, I mean, look, I'm probably at I would say a 24% bald, and
What?
my younger brother, basically has like
24?
I'm like 24% bald. And my
It's like the Oblivion slider.
yeah, it might be less. It might be less. I might be overblowing it a little bit, but
Yeah.
like my brother, who's only 2 years younger than me,
Thank
never,
God you've got max charisma.
never smoked. His hair, it looks fucking great.
Yeah?
But what-
you think it's that?
Yeah. What I was gonna
I
say,
think it's because you're such a high T individual.
I
That's
don't
true.
know.
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't feel like a high T.
You're extremely aggressive.
a high T guy.
Yeah, it's hard to like when we go out because you always want to fight guys at like the bar.
No.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think I've told you both this story on the pod, but like I switched up my like hair medication. I switched to like a new product. And ever since I did that, because I saw the product through a targeted Instagram ad. And I clicked on it and I bought it. And ever since then, they have been sending me just the saddest targeted. It's
Oh,
like
no.
shoes that make you 2.5 inches taller,
God.
and like, boner pills and
We figured this guy's got no hair. His dick doesn't work.
oh, yeah.
His shoes are broken. His pants are probably down.
We're about to make $1 million.
I just got one the other day that was like Benny and Sam's like boutique, and it's like clothes for guys 5'8" and under. And so they're like, okay, they were like, this man is losing his hair. His dick doesn't work. He wants to be taller, and he needs a higher T. I'm getting those targeted ads as well.
It is true that it is like a whole, it's like a white space that people haven't exploited enough. They do the big and tall, but what about the big and short?
Yeah.
What about the Danny DeVitos of this world?
Danny probably has his own clothier, who makes custom stuff. I have a really embarrassing story. When I was in either junior, I believe it was junior high. It must have been. I don't think it was in high school. We were pranky bad kids in the way that, I hung out with a group of like kind of bullies that my father suggested that I befriend so that they would stop making fun of me, which was...
Okay. So you were like a capo.
It was like not the best advice. I mean, my dad usually gives like really, really good advice, but this was not the best because then I ended up being the lowest tier in like the bully friend group. So I still got bullied, but I was
Right.
bullied as an in group
Yeah.
as opposed to an out group.
Your dad was reading Sun Tzu's The Art of War. Keep your enemies closer.
Yes.
Did you use like the defense mechanism where you're like, oh, you're making fun of me? I'm going to make fun of myself even more.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
Right.
Years and decades of self-deprecating humor. That like, you know, that I've learned like through therapy over time. Like, you forget that you were using it as a defense mechanism and you actually just believe it about yourself now. It's like,
Yeah.
Just like seeing a guy at the end of the hall, you know, and just immediately like, hey, I'm a faggot. It was
no
like,
need to
what-
beat me up.
Hey,
I already know.
No need to call me that because I already know I am, and I've humiliated myself in front of everybody. In fact, my laces aren't tight. I just tripped and smashed my own face into the locker.
Oh, I remember this one horrible. So I transferred schools when I was like, I don't know, probably in 4th grade, which is really tough because 4th grade is kind of when the friend groups are starting to form. So I was a new kid in a new school. The kids were like much more independent in the town that we moved to.
Most of my friends are 4th graders.
And I remember sitting in class, like going to school the first day, and you know, the teacher is like doing the introduction, like, by the way, we have like a new student. I was like, okay, here it goes. Like, she's gonna say my name. Like, I got to do something. First impressions are everything. I was like, I know I'm funny.
What?
I was like, I know I'm funny. I'll
Oh,
do a
no.
funny little bit.
No, don't do the tight 5.
So she called my name and she was like, and our new student, Jake, boop. And I did.
Whoa, that's crazy. Your last name is the N-word?
I didn't want to lie and have her say Jake Rockatansky. No. I put my hand up and did like what I thought was an impression of like the Princess Di wave, where I kind of like looked around and did this like kind of, you know, Little Lord Fauntleroy style wave. I thought it was really funny in the moment. No laughter. Nothing.
Yeah.
No reaction whatsoever.
Wait,
I had
you
to lower my
decided-
hand. I had to lower my hand in total silence.
On a Little Lord Fauntleroy wave?
I was just trying to do like, in my imagination was that here's what I was thinking in my head.
Okay.
I was like, I'm lowest on the totem pole. I'm new kid. I'm not super athletic. Like, my family isn't super wealthy, so like I don't have like the Stussy shit. You know, I don't have the Jinkos. I don't have the cool stuff that other
You
kids
don't have the Airwalk shoes or whatever.
And so I was like, the joke is that I wave like I'm some kind of royalty, and the irony is what's funny about it. And
Wait, you were in 4th grade thinking all
too
this?
complicated a joke.
That's a very layered comedian for that
Yes,
age.
of course. I'm a funny guy.
I think the whole thing is just realizing that there's no totem pole. You know, you gotta think beyond the totem pole. Sorry, I've been watching Matthew McConaughey yell at me.
Oh yeah, I watched a little bit of that last night on your
oh
stream.
my God, he's doing Tony Robbins with Tony Robbins. Like he's doing,
Yeah, it's
and he's in
wild.
like a Professor Xavier like orb with like Zoom people all around
Mm-hmm.
him, and he looks bad. He looks haggard. He looks like he washed up like on a beach somewhere.
Yeah.
And it's really embarrassing. It's fucking embarrassing. It's like this weird pseudo-spiritual grift where you realize that the whole format's actually evangelical, but it's a form of weird secular evangelical self-help stuff.
That's so bizarre.
And the weird thing is that these days everyone's kind of looped around, right? They're like they went from liberal to basically kind of like right-wing Christians. And so he's becoming Christian again, even though he's doing like this weird secular Tony Robbins stuff. And I think Tony Robbins is also, he had a bunch of sexual harassment stuff, and he's like a monstrous individual. And Matthew McConaughey, and he made this book. He wrote this fucking book called like Green Lights. And this guy is like an 80s hair metal type idiot, like where everything is just car stuff. He's like, we got to have your hand on the accelerator and then you'll be in 3rd gear. Before you know it, you're the wind's in your hair, you're on the highway. And then you don't want the green light because if you have the red light, it'll sometimes you'll stop completely.
Yeah. The amount of fame and sort of clout that we ascribe to actors, I think is a really bad thing because on the one hand, you have Matthew
Actors should be treated as what they are, menaces.
Yeah.
They're menaces.
On the one
They're
hand,
liars.
you have Matthew McConaughey, who created, I think, maybe one of my favorite and most poignant moments in any movie in the last, like, 20 years, which, of course...
The shot where Magic Mike finally gets naked.
No. it's
Oh,
the
which one?
scene. It's the scene in Interstellar where he watches the videos that his kids have been sending,
Oh,
and
yes.
they grow up over time, and he starts sobbing, and you can't help. Even
That
just,
is a good scene, I admit.
even just like now, as I'm imagining the scene and sort of telling it to you, like I can feel myself getting emotional because he is so
Yeah.
good. But then he's in this weird Professor X like Zoom room, just doing like basic like phony bullshit actor stuff,
insane stuff.
where it's literally stuff like life. It's like a good ball cap. Okay, you put it on.
Yeah, straight up.
You put it on, and it covers your head, but only for so long. After a while, you get dirt in there.
Yeah.
You get hair in there. You get sweat running down your forehead. And you know what you got to do? What do you got to do? You got to change hats.
You have been listening to a sample of a premium episode of QAnon Anonymous.
We don't run any advertising on the show, and we'd like to keep it that way.
For $5 a month, you'll get access to this episode, a new one each week, and our entire library of premium episodes.
So head on over to patreon.com/QAnon Anonymous and subscribe.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I love you.
Jake loves you.